And we're live. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Good to be back for another Saturday. Hope everyone's had a great week. A lot of things going on in the world, but regardless of that, we're here doing our thing on a Saturday. And you take a week off. 1 week you don't stream, and then you forget half the things you're supposed to do to get this stream happening. And one of those things is it's very silent in the background. Can you hear that? It's nothing at all. And we fix that fairly quickly. Shout out to Creator Mix for the tunes in the background today. Well, welcome. Yes, a lot of things happening in the YouTube space. A lot of things happening in the world, and we're here to talk about the former today. So yeah, as always, this is a Q&A show. So if you have questions, you can just put them in the chat, and hopefully we can address them the best we can. And also, we're going to talk about a couple of things. I've got a couple of things up my sleeve, and also the topic of today's, the main talking point of today's show, the Express show, mind you, is the problem of YouTube. What could it be? We'll get to that soon. So big shout out. Let's jump in and chat and see who's here joining us today as people roll in. Aaron says, is Doug live? Does that prove that I am live by showing you the message that says, are you live? I think there's a slight delay. I'm not that far behind. Actually, when I look at my monitor, your message popped up just at that point. So we've only got like a short, probably 10 to 15 second latency at best. So yeah, we're very live today. So unless of course you're sitting in the chat and you're still seeing, the pre-show screen, then maybe refresh your page. All right. So let's do a few shout outs, see who's joining us. I can see there's already 6 thumbs up on the stream, so that's pretty cool. Let's say good morning to moderator extraordinaire. Chantel's in the house. Welcome. We've got Aaron's House of Legos. Power of Purpose is here. The Creator Classroom is here. The Stream Elements bot is here. We always give the Stream Elements bot a shout out. Be the Wall is in the house. Monique's here as well. If that would click, there we go. And more people are rolling in. I'm sure Elsie K-Pop Mum as well is here. Welcome. Let Aaron know that we're live, to hit the refresh button. Hit that refresh. Oh, it's fixed. It's fixed. It can be. We've averted that problem. But yes, we are live. We're back. And I just wanted to go live regardless, because last week I didn't go live. But I was working on the video that I put up. What day did that go up? I think it went up. I forgot what day it went up. I think it went up on Thursday. It's not my normal day to be putting up like a proper release. Obviously, shorts drop at any time. Live stream generally Saturday. Maybe that'll change one day. But yeah, the lives, usually the pre-recorded, the VODs, the regular videos go up on a Monday. And this week, it's been a few weeks actually, but this week, a Thursday publication. And that was my deep dive, my breakdown on all the shorts tools in the YouTube app. So if you haven't checked that out already, make sure you go check that out. It's the latest video on the channel, not counting any shorts that might have just published because I did drop a short yesterday. I just drop shorts randomly. When I have something to say or an idea for something that's really quick, I'll just drop a short, and it's there for people to consume whenever they want. Whiskey Lovers Society's in the house. Welcome. Coming to us from Belgium, of course. And yeah. Whoop, cancel that. I clicked on the wrong thing. I nearly banned Whiskey Lovers Society from the chat accidentally. Clicked the wrong button in Ecamm. I'm glad it gives a warning. It says, "Are you sure?" I said, "No, I'm not. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." So yeah, as always, we'd like to talk about a few topics. Sometimes we have topics, but we always open it up to Q&A for questions. So if you have questions about content creation, YouTube, all that sort of stuff, make sure, feel free, just drop it in the chat, and we'll get to it. I keep the chat fairly close to me most times, unless I'm going deep on an article or something and I'm looking at the article. I might not be looking at the chat, but besides that, it's all good. And there's a few extra streams coming up after me today, of course, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I'll let you know about those a little later in the show. Well, let's look at I'm just going to hit a quick short articles before we hit the main topic, and anytime there's Q&A comes up, we'll jump in on top of those as well. Aussie K-pop mum says, "I dropped my keyboard once and kicked 2 guests from StreamYard." Yeah. Yep, I've seen people, they just start saying random letters and numbers in the chat, and it's like, "Oh, sorry, my cat walked over my keyboard." so yeah, things like that happen. Things like that happen. All right. Drop the questions. First thing I want to do is, if you see Nick Dimmon's new show that he does Fridays, which is like nearly, not even 24 hours ago, nearly 24 hours ago, Nick Dimmon drops every Friday morning Eastern time, or Friday night if you're on my part of the world. Nick Dimmon does like a short 5 to 10 minute live stream where he goes through some YouTube news. And we're going to look at a little bit closer at one of those news items today. And no, it's not the one that's going to get channels banned from YouTube, so we're not going to get that controversial. It's going to be the one about education, the education updates. So we're going to read and dive in and see what that's all about, and then we'll go from there. So I need to make sure I've got the right page up on the screen. So let's go over and have a look at that and break it down for a couple of minutes. All right. Hit the button. There we go. I don't have music on that anymore. Oh, yeah. The little musical interludes are always good to take a quick sip of water in between scenes. But basically, this is an article. I'm taking the tube filter version of the article just because I like to use tube filter because they keep it pretty simple. They don't get too deep and wordy. So it says, "Pop quiz. Can you guess which educational features YouTube has just announced?" So they announced a couple. Nick Nimmin sort of listed them off in his new show. But let's dive in, see how they frame the article, and then we'll dive into I think there's 3 things from memory. First one, is, YouTube's looking at equipping classrooms, like any type, any level, whether it's young kids up to university studies, college, in between, equipping classrooms with more features that they can provide resource. And obviously there's a lot of resource on YouTube in the education space. There's a lot of education YouTubers who are specifically trying to educate for a specific age group, a specific subject, a specific topic, and they're talking about a number of things. The first one is what they're calling, if I can scroll down here, I'm just going to highlight it. They're calling it a player for education. And basically what this is a player that exists, and it's probably not going to be in YouTube. It's going to be like an integration, a bit like an embed sort of player or something like that, where if it's being used in the realm of an educational space, it's going to be a player that's more interactive and able to show the content without distractions. So all the little bits of YouTube branding and stuff, most likely, and obviously no ads. People who are in this for the money, people are going, oh my goodness, are we going to lose ad revenue? I think in the way they're going to implement it, I don't think it's going to be a problem. What they're doing is they're making it a viewer side feature, so it's for the educational space, for the educators, the teachers, the professors, the lecturers, to be able to use a product where they can use a YouTube video in the fashion of where they can present that, and it's not be, oh, let me skip through the ads, let me, a distraction in the class, but it's presented professionally in a way that makes it conducive to learning. So that's the first thing. They haven't given us too much other details on that at the moment. The next thing they're talking about is a feature that is a direct attempt to compete with sites like Masterclass or what's the other one where you go on and learn? There's another one, there's a popular one that YouTubers do brand integrations for all the time. But Masterclass is a good example because they've done courses like with Marquez Brownlee and stuff where they're now getting influencers to teach the classes, not just Ron Howard on movie making and Aaron Sorkin on script writing and different things like that. They're getting a broad range of people to teach their masterclasses. So this is something that they're going to call courses or something similar, which they say could be put behind a paywall or made available for free, and will let YouTubers break down subjects, digestible segmented lessons. So it's basically creators who are in the education space putting stuff together so they can either make it a course or make it a structured learning path, and whether they monetize that or make it free is up to them. It says, if I scroll past all the tube filter ads, when purchased, courses will employ a distractionless model. So again, it might form part of the player that we talked about in the first part, including that to be a learning space rather than a place where people are going to see a lot of ads, which makes sense. If you're going to monetize it, then you don't need to have ads playing because they're paying to get access already. So the income is probably going to be possibly higher on that if you do a professional course. Should be good. It says initially courses will be available in the US and South Korea, and this is probably for their testing, as they make sure that it works properly before the rollout. So they're going to start testing that out. And then the final thing, which is probably going to be more practical to a broad range of creators, not just educational creators, is something they're going to call quizzes. This feature will show up in the community tabs across the platform. So it'll be like being able to set up a poll, an image poll, share a video, share an image. They're going to make it so that you can actually set up a quiz, whether that's a one-question quiz or a multiple-question quiz. I don't know. We don't know what it's going to look like. It says the beta test of quizzes is planned for the coming months. So they're going to start testing it to see, dialing in how it's going to work, with a wider rollout set for next year, 2023. The rest of that paragraph is just the article's opinion. So they're the three things. They're the three things that are in the education space. So it's interesting. Let's see if anybody has anything to say about those. So let me jump back to the close-up shot. Let me jump back to the chat. I don't know how far back. Here we go. Doug, you better stop there. It wasn't that news. It wasn't that news. Okay, I'm scrolling through the chat. Okay, people are talking about the other news. Maybe people wanted to talk about the new sexual nudity policy on YouTube. Okay. Here it is. Michael Sohosky, welcome. I haven't seen you for a while. Good to have you. Okay. And my chat is scrolling around. Here we go. Whiskey Lover Society says, I'd love to have a way to click on the names in the chat and click reply. That's actually a decent feature, because even typing at is a lot of extra steps. So you got at and you got to start typing the name. Hopefully it pops up. Hopefully they get that that feature on parody on mobile. I know a few creators this week were putting that to Renee Ritchie, the YouTube liaison. So let's hope we even get mentions on mobile for live streams. That'd be great. But that's a good idea. I think Twitch does it that way, where you click on the name and then you can hit reply. So you go, hey, I want to talk to Chantel's just said something in the chat. I'm going to click on her name, hit reply, and so it'll put her name at the start. So it'll flag that to her as soon as I hit enter and submit the message. And then potentially having a direct message. Direct messaging is interesting. There's pros and cons to direct messages where they're only seen by the two people who are, if you direct message somebody, say in the chat, and then the message only gets seen by them, not by everybody. There's positives to that. There's negatives to that. Probably not going to go into that now, but it's an interesting suggestion. I do like the fact that to be able to just simply reply by clicking on their name, hit reply. I like that. I like it. Questions: are they still rolling out image polls on desktop? Right? Yeah, I did. I think was that my short from yesterday. I think that was my short from yesterday, or was it the day before? Put too many shorts out and I forget which ones are which. Let me have a look real quick. My channel, videos. Oh, look, I'm live. No, it was a couple of days ago. Image polls now on desktop. Basically, they are starting to roll out image polls on desktop. I don't think everybody's got it yet, but the rollout has started. So basically at the moment, if you're on an Android phone, you should have image polls on the YouTube app. If you're on desktop, it's coming. No sign of it on iOS at this point. I checked yesterday, just to be sure. So image polls, yes. I'm gonna extreme. Yeah, I was trying to tweak the shots. I must have been sitting back more in my chair when I was hitting the buttons. Because now I'm sitting forward. I'm cropping myself off a bit. I'll go back to the other scene where I'm a little bit further back. There we go. Oh yeah, it'd be terrible. iPads are like second-class devices. They sometimes don't even get features that iPhones get. It's crazy. And that's not just YouTube I'm talking about. That's from all sorts of apps and like I'm not going to mention Instagram. All right. I'm wondering about merch design. This is Power of Purpose, by the way. Question. Thanks for the question. Did you do it yourself, or did you have someone do it for you? I don't want a logo, but I'm worried my font choices won't look very good. For me, I did mine myself. Now I'm obviously not wearing merch today, but like the hat that's in the pinned comment, the value first. I just found a really clear font. Where was I using? I did that in Canva. The trick with that is, because I use free Canva, I couldn't remove background to have it like transparent. So I had to jump through a few extra hoops to make that happen, because obviously it's just the text and it's like the value is solid. First is like just the outline of the letters. It's the same font, but then everything else around it is transparent as well. So I did that in Canva, and then I had to tweak it to make it transparent. I think with fonts, it just depends on what your theme is, what you like to go with. I wouldn't go like with shirts. You got a little bit more artistic design than maybe like what you'd get for a thumbnail device, where thumbnails you want to be super clear to read when it comes to the text. But on a shirt, depending on the design you're going for, you're going to have imagery, you're going to have text. It might lean towards using a particular font. It just depends on what you're designing, but I think you can have a little bit more liberty with the font. But do a lot of iteration. Just don't like, oh, okay, this is it. Just get it, sleep on it, check it, look at it again, say, no, I think I could do better. I'm going to tweak this, tweak that. So never rush artwork. I know when I first started doing sort of bits of merch and stuff and just sort of testing the waters with Spreadshop many years ago, I was just mucking around with ideas, and sometimes I would knock something together really quick and just upload it, and then that would be it. And then it's maybe not be as good a design as it could be. And this speaking from someone I don't come from a design background. I'm not a designer. If you saw the original thumbnails I used to do on YouTube when I first started, they were pretty average, to say the least. I'm not saying I'm an expert now or anything like that either, but over time your skills improve. When you're doing this YouTube game, your skills of graphic design improve. Your video editing hopefully improves. Your set design improves. Your lighting improves. Your audio improves over time, because you learn to use the tools that you have, or the gear, whether it's a microphone or a camera. So I could give, say, let's jump to this camera. This camera here, I could give this camera to somebody else, and they could film something, then I could get it and film something, and we would get two totally different quality product, because of do we know how to use it? Do we know all the settings? Do we understand shot composure, correct lighting, how to correctly set your ISO and your aperture and stuff, and that took me a long time to figure out, because when I started, I was like filming on phones, like basic phones. Like this is a 13 Pro, so this is like, up until now, this is the latest and greatest from Apple up until this week. But when I started on like an iPhone 5, iPhone 6, I think, doing things, and just some like little basic SD quality handy cams. I don't even know if they were 16:9, I can't remember, but just some really basic handy cams. You put in like a full size SD card. Even the first one I had a 30 gig hard drive in it, and that was in 2006, I think. I saved some money and went and bought a $600 camera at the time, and it was just basic video camera, and I didn't really know how to use it. I didn't have any. Had an onboard hard drive, and it was not HD. It was not. This is before like HD was mainstream. This is a long time ago. But all that said, going back to the merch, over time you get to improve. It's just keep iterating and keep improving. Sometimes, if you're looking to do something very, very specific, you might want to outsource it to maybe someone on Fiverr, or somebody that is a graphic designer locally, to come up with something that represents you, or where you can give them some guidance and they can actually pull it together at a reasonable time frame, or and professionally, of course, come up with a really good result fairly quickly. All right, Stormy Skies in the house. Going to keep catching up on the chat here. Michael's asking khakis or bike shorts. Talking about not YouTube shorts, but shorts. I just wear like regular shorts. I don't wear bike shorts, as in like lycra type stuff. I don't get around with tight shorts. I just like wearing regular shorts. Probably 10, 15 years ago, they might have been like half, like down to the knee shorts, were a bit baggier, big pockets, but that was the style back then. You sort of got to go with the flow. But I just try and find regular shorts. They fit me, and I can just wear them around the house, because most of the time I'm wearing shorts around the house. I might make an occasional trip to the supermarket in a pair of shorts, especially in summer. So yeah, I just try and wear basic shorts. I prefer if there's some pockets, and bonus points if it's got a back pocket for a wallet. Although in this day and age, you probably get away with not using a wallet at all. Probably in the next year or two, I'll probably go walletless with maybe like an Apple Watch or something instead of a wallet. Actually, I've got my wallet here. At the moment, I've got cards, and I actually got a bit of cash in there in the moment, which is shocking after COVID, because I haven't had cash in a long time. I got a driver's license and some other identification stuff, and just cards for paying stuff, credit card, debit card, all that, and a card for public transport, which is going to sort of more tap and pay with a phone or an Apple Watch or a credit card in the next few years. So everything can probably end up happening on the Apple Watch when I get one. I don't have one. So anyway, I don't know how I got from shorts. Oh yeah, pockets. Midnight Madness in the house. Here we go. Oh yeah, Canva Pro. Canva Pro, sky's the limit when it comes to what you can do. I use Spreadshop for merch. Canva's a really good option. I know Playset and Canva and Spreadshop have an integration. And they do a lot of where you can actually create mock-ups. So if you have a design, you can put it on like a shirt with a model, change the color of the shirt, and it sort of gives you an idea what it will look like. But even when you upload to Spreadshop, they do that for you as well. Better to avoid cursive, yeah, especially if it's hard to read at a distance. So you just have to test it out, just depending on what type of cursive, as to how curly and how readable it is. It's because some cursive is very readable and some is not. But that might be the look you're going for. It might be like a hand sign sort of, hey, this is my brand, and I've written a freehand sort of thing, and that's cool. Chantel mentions Canva and Placeit as well. How many years do you know about the YouTube wall? Created by Stacey Morgan. It's funny that it's coming from Be The Wall account. How many years do I know about it? Yeah, actually not that long. Not that long. I do know about it now. I did learn about it. I think I learned about it earlier this year. I know what it is. Always check usage rights for any applications. That's right, particularly if you're using some of the imagery. Like if you're importing your own, something that you've designed or something, and then you just use that to, organize things for the merch. But yeah, if you're using a basic, put a square behind something, you're not going to probably get hit for that. But if there's like a very specific image, because Canva has photos and very specific graphics and different things like that. So yeah, it just depends the platform you're using. Just always make sure that it's okay to use on merch. You have to dive into the terms and conditions sometimes to find that information, but usually they make it clear as to what it is if you go looking for it. Whiskey Love Society still using the iPhone XR. Quality is okay. Yeah, I was using the 10R for a little while when I had a 10R and an iPhone 8 Plus, and my 10R was like my phone in my pocket, what I used, the latest and greatest. It wasn't, I had the 10R for quite a while until I upgraded to the 11 Pro. And I never upgrade when it's first released. I'm always upgrading like six months later or just before the next one, usually. So I probably got my 11 Pro Max when the 12s were coming out or something like that, or just before, or just after that. Usually just before. So I'm usually a generation behind. Like this is the first time I had a 13 Pro, when 13 has been like it's the latest and greatest. Because I upgraded sort of within the 12 months of it being launched. But yeah, the phones these days, solid. Use the phones for filming. As soon as I read forms for filming, I knew it was phones for filming. Cloud, I can't say it, Cloud Gaming Dad in the house. I probably need a sip of water. As a tiny channel, I have had great success with merch. Sold over $500 in merch in the last 90 days. That's awesome. I get like a sale here and there, and I don't really push it. It all comes down, sometimes it comes down to like putting it out there. And, we're not always focused on putting it out there because a lot of us are focused about maybe growing channels or whatever. But, if making a profit, making income, covering your needs financially is a bigger factor for you, then promoting is going to become a bigger factor for you. So it just depends on the goals. But that's good. I should probably put it out there a little bit more than I have. I do every now and then drop a merch image on Twitter and a link to the merch store, different things like that. But yeah, I think you have to be a little bit more more direct, especially with your audience and on YouTube, wherever your primary audience is. That's where you really want to meet people, and present them with whatever opportunity you have, whether it's a course or a PDF or or merch or something else that you might be selling that's around your niche, whether it's like custom design for a sewing channel or the sorts of things Chantel does on hers with her Fiberific channel. Lots of ways to monetize. Here we go. Had to make my merch general to my niche. Yeah, that's it. Because if you make something that's like it's got your face or your logo on it, then that's only going to appeal to like a small segment of people who are really like your top supporters, and so they're going to support you because it's you. If you make something in your niche that sort of speaks to a wider audience, it'll definitely, if you put it out there and you give it a chance, it'll actually reach a broader audience. Obviously, you got to do the legwork on that, as always. Little Crafty Nook's in the house. Welcome. All right, rocking through. I'm trying to get caught up on these messages. Good questions today. Speak to English with this guy's in the house with a question. Are YouTube stories going away? I hit 10K mark 2 weeks ago, but I still don't have it. That's a good question. I've always wanted stories, and because I'm not there yet, I'm not at 10K yet. I think it's ridiculous that it is still at 10K at this point in time. But that's an interesting question because it went with shorts being what they are. It's like, is it like a duplication of a similar format? Is it something that's going to go away? The only real difference is, I think, stories expire. And I think YouTube had like one of the longest ones at the time when stories were big on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else. They would expire after a couple of days, whereas YouTube was like still like 5 to 7 days. It was like really long, whatever it still is. And does that compete, or is that a direct sort of clone? Because some of the features are similar with shorts, and shorts the new stories. I think there are differences for sure, but whether they're going away, that is a question. I think it's possible. I think it's possible they go away. Either one, two things is going to happen. It's going to go away, or they're going to drop the requirement to maybe 1,000 subscribers. Like merch was 10,000, now it's 1,000. Like channel memberships was all sorts of different things, and it went to 10. Then I think it went all the way from 30,000 to 1,000. Because gamers were getting at 1,000 anyway, so why not everybody else? So that made sense. So I think my thoughts would be it's either going to go away or they're going to drop the requirement. I'm not sure how long it's supposed to take to get applied to a channel these days, because I haven't had anybody ask me that for so long that I have no idea or any feedback from anybody who's crossed that milestone and how quickly they've received it. Because when people apply for monetization, you hear how quick some people get approved, like within a day, and different things like that. And we know that community posts or community tab usually takes a week or so to get activated. So what it actually is or what they're planning to do, only YouTube knows. But that's a good question. I'm gonna ask around, see if I can suss that out a bit. Let me suss that out. Oh, Little Crafty Nook, did you discuss the sampling situation? That's a whole other thing. Now, that's something to probably refer to is I did a short on it. I think that's the short I did yesterday. And then there was a short that D. Niman did that was related to that. There's a whole discussion that we were having, Little Crafty Nook, Nikki was having in one of the Facebook groups. I think I jumped in, D. Niman's jumped in, a few other people jumped in as well. We were trying to work things out. We did some testing, like creators like myself and D. Niman and Daniel Batal and that. We were like, basically, hey, these are really good questions. We need to sort of work this out. So we were like turning things on, turning things off, and doing things and testing them out. So interesting. Probably could do a dedicated stream. I haven't even hit the main topic of the stream, and I'm running out of time. Maybe Oh, I'm gonna have to change the name for the replay, aren't I? If I don't cover it, because then that's clickbait. I've got people in here on. I've got everyone in here on the wrong pretenses. Let me see what I can do about that. But anyway, let me pull up my notes app because I've got notes about that particular thing. Let me see if I can get caught up on the chat real quick. Okay. Let me. Oh, I'm scrolling too quick. Make sure I don't miss any questions in here. Yeah, the thing that happened in regards to that, the short sampling, is that the edit into a short feature where you take your long form content and just grab a portion out, turn it into a short, using that tool. If you then go and turn off short sampling on that original video, after you do that, it's actually going to take your video down, just like if somebody else sampled that video, it would take their video down. So it's basically all grouped in together as part of the same sort of short sampling process. But if it's audio, video, a creator editing their own short. So I think we've already started making some suggestions as to some changes that YouTube can make on that front, which would be to not have edit into a short feature tied to the short sampling setting for each video or for your channel globally. Yes, do you allow it? Do you not allow it? Because the creator should be able to sample their own content without having any sort of issues. Obviously, it's up to them if they want other people to sample it or not, allow people or not allow people. But if you actually want to sample your own content, there shouldn't be any, you shouldn't be, if you want to block other people but sample your own, it shouldn't be like all or nothing. It should be, you should be just allowed to use it all the time. And so I think that's something where we're pushing for and sort of mentioning and giving feedback to YouTube about on that particular front, because I think that would be the basic solution, is not have it tied into the short sampling feature or get turned on or off according to that. Because creators should be able to use their own content any way they like. That's basically what it boils down to. Creator Classroom has a link to the legal terms. Yeah, that's not gonna post in the chat. Yeah, Story Shelf. I only ever see it on mobile now. In my sub feed, when I first get down the first sort of just below the first video, it's there. If there are any, it's there. And then I don't see it anywhere else. I don't see it. It's never really been a desktop feature. It's always been a phone feature. And how many people are still using it? Like I see some of the creators I follow are still using it. And Abkami M, he is here. Welcome. 7 days. It's taken a little bit longer, I think. 7 days. Yeah, 7 days makes sense. Sort of like the community post or community tab. That makes sense to me, for sure. There we go. Trying to get to the bottom here. Yeah, exactly. What Creator Classroom said. Yeah, we got to be able to separate them out. You got to be able to use your own content freely without allowing everybody else to use your content. Shell them. Not that it's bad to let anybody use your content as shorts, because there is that linkage back. It does bring acknowledgement to your channel, to the original video. If people want to go and find that out, they have to, the person who's watching that short has to have the thought, oh, I wonder what video that came from. I'm interested. And they have to click on a couple of buttons to find out. Click on the little icon in the bottom corner to figure out where that short came from. Thank you. With Charlene's in the house. Welcome. I think there should be a checkbox. Yeah, I had some suggestions on that, but I think yeah, this is the crux of the thing though. With Little Crafty Nook is that she didn't turn that feature off, but yet her shorts got deleted, which is like, obviously it's a glitch somewhere. It's like something's going on there. So yeah, that was the whole crux of that particular Facebook post, and then we're working through that and like just confirming things, and yeah, it's definitely odd that your stuff gets taken down when you don't even like go and uncheck the box after the fact. Scully's House of Thrillers is in the house. His house is in my house. Okay, and there's a bit more information about that Canva terms. All right, I've hit the bottom. What we're gonna do, and thank you for the super chat, and we'll get the acknowledgement from the overlays people in a second. Stream Elements bot, do your thing. There it is.
Thank you for the super chat.
And the audio as well. Thank you for the super chat. $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much for all your help. Not a problem. Not a problem. It's what I like to do. I actually get a kick out of helping people on Facebook. Around YouTube things. You know, it's not everything I can help people with. Let's jump to the main topic for the last part of the show, where I'm not going to be looking at the chat for a minute. So, it's going to be my notes over there. I'm even going to go to a different camera. Here we go. New set, new segment. Here we go. I should have interlude music, but let me push up the microphone here. So hopefully, when I come over here, can you all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. I can see the levels going through Ecamm. All right. Now I've got a camera here. I don't have a monitor to look at. I don't know what's going on. I can't see the chat. The problem with YouTube, I'm going to keep this short because I've already gone towards the end of the time allotted for this stream today. But the problem with YouTube, I'm not really talking about a particular problem today, but just a general problem. And when people have issues with YouTube, this is often one of the reasons why there is a problem in the first place, or, you know, a specific problem in the first place, or why it can sometimes take a little while for things to get resolved. But on the same hand, things can sometimes, depending on what's going on, get resolved really, really quick. So my first point that I've noted here is that YouTube is a complex machine, has lots of competing needs. It has the needs of the company itself, but the bottom line for the needs of any company really is to make a profit. It's money. No company exists outside of making a profit, because if they don't make a profit, then there's no real point in doing what they do, because they need to be able to continue doing what they do. Even if the thing that they do, the service or the good it makes or something else is vital for society, they got to be able to make that sustainable. For YouTube, obviously they want to make the process of getting user-created content into the world, and so they got to do certain things to make that profitable. At the same time, they got to balance the needs of themselves with the needs of what the viewers are looking for, because without the viewers, there's no income. So viewers are important to YouTube. The other important thing when it comes to YouTube, and YouTube's a little bit more unique as a company, but obviously there's other ones like Twitch and Facebook and things as well, is the creators. The creators are important to YouTube as well. And so they've got the needs of creators they got to weigh up. And that's what we're most often worried about, is the needs of creators. And finally, it's the advertisers, because without advertisers, there's no money coming in, because you got the viewers who are the audience. The advertisers are putting ads on and paying for the privilege of getting their products and services in front of those viewers. And we know that was worked like that for a long time with newspapers, with television and radio. Advertisers are what sort of makes, turns the wheels of the whole company to keep it working. So they have competing needs. They got to meet the needs of all these people. And so the main problem when it comes to YouTube is also, ironically, its greatest strength. And that is the sheer size of the company. YouTube is a behemoth. Not to mention that it is owned by the Google parent company, which is, I think, called Alphabet. Or we just say Google generally. You know, Google owns YouTube. Technically, Alphabet owns YouTube because Alphabet also owns Google. But Google is so well known, we just refer to them as Google. It's like Meta, Facebook. You know, we just call them Facebook. So let me tell you the sheer size of what YouTube is. There's over 51 million channels. This is as of 2022. Thereabouts. These are stats from this year. There's more than 2 billion monthly viewers. There's more than 2 billion people watching YouTube every month. The ad revenue in the second quarter of this year alone was $7.34 billion. So that's a big like pure turnover of income. That's the revenue that's coming in from advertisers. That's not counting any maybe additional revenue they get from like YouTube Premium and different things like that. That's purely from ad revenue. The advertisers coming in, spending money for ads on the platform. And another thing to keep in mind too, this is one sort of a little bit outside. I don't know how current these figures are. These are from the last couple of years. Is apparently they employ over 10,000 purely for content moderation. That's people who look and check to make sure the content is legit. It doesn't breach the various policies that they have in place. And so the biggest problem with YouTube is its size. And because of its sheer size, to get something to change, it's a bit like, it's the analogy you might have heard recently in other aspects, and that's like turning a cruise ship as opposed to turning a rowboat. It takes a lot more effort to turn a cruise ship into a different direction. So if you have to like totally change direction, if YouTube had to or one day stop being a video platform and becoming a virtual meta space like Meta or Facebook or something, in the sense of people going in with their AR and augmented reality or the VR virtual reality. If YouTube had to pivot totally to that and sort of leave regular video behind, that's a big change. That's a big pivot. That would take a lot of time to put into place and would take many years, quite frankly, because they got to get the infrastructure in place and different things like that. The same token, when things come up, they have to make changes to policies on the fly. And these policies, we get to see them very, very, like when they're announced, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes to make those policies changes take place. They got to be written, they got to go through legal, they got to go through all sorts of things and then be presented to whether it's a creator policy or a viewer policy or a general content policy. There's a lot of things that have to happen for those things to happen. And they do deal with things at the same token. Being a big company, they do deal with things often quite promptly. Like if it's something that needs to be taken down quickly, because they've got those 10,000 content moderators in place, they can get stuff reviewed by a human fairly quickly, relatively, compared to the amount of content that's being uploaded to YouTube every day. That they do get to it reasonably quick. Sometimes we want them to get to stuff quicker, but they do a fairly good job of getting to stuff in a fairly timely manner. Sometimes when a question or a query or a concern is more complex, it may take longer to get answers. And so my takeaway from just this basic topic is we, as creators, we need to give YouTube a little bit of space to respond to things. One thing that we think that they're dragging on, I guess, as an example, would be comment spam. And we certainly come up with ideas and think that YouTube could have dealt with it sooner or quicker or be doing more. But we don't see everything that's going on behind the scenes. We know they are working for it. We know we've seen some changes. We know we've seen some improvements. But again, some things are complex, whether they're complex from a size point of view or complex from a technical point of view. Like it's not as easy to make programmatically make these changes or in coding or whatever. I'm not a coder. I don't understand how coding works. So I've got a basic idea of what coding is. It's not basic web design. It's complex web design, coding, computer. It's a computer science basically. So whatever the topic is, I think as creators we need to give YouTube a bit of space to get it right, but also at the same time we don't want them to linger for too long and sort of get away with taking too long on something or letting something slide too easily when really something shouldn't slide. It should be dealt with a lot quicker. So I think we do need to speak out when things do need to change, but sometimes we do at the same time we do need to give them a grace period or some time to deal with things when they first crop up. Particularly when they first crop up, we got to let them assess it and figure out a solution. So really it's the problem with YouTube being the size. At the same time, size is a great thing because of scale. They can do a lot more things. It can be more successful. It's bringing in more revenue so that creators are successful. Everybody gets a piece of the pie, however big that piece is. We're getting 55% of the ad revenue. We're getting 70% of the merch and not the merch, the super chats, super stickers, super thanks. The memberships is what I was looking for before. So the opportunity there is for us is great. So we just need to keep in mind we need to work with YouTube collaboratively, I think is the solution, and give them a bit of grace when things certainly come up, but also call them to task when they drop the ball. Absolutely. And that's my TED Talk for the day. Let's head back on over to the other camera, shall we? All right. That's my preach for today and my preaching message. Well, thank you for coming to the Church of Doug. Let's dive into the chat before we wrap things up. Oh, it's really, really cracking along, isn't it, time-wise? All right. All right. Wait. Okay. Super chat is where I was up to. Thank you again, Little Crafty Nook, for that. Great. Yeah, I'm happy for that link to be posted for the terms. If you like to do that, Chantal, that's fine. Let me see what happens. Kind of courteous indeed. Googs. 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 All right. Yeah, Ritu, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Coming in from India. All right. Okay, some comments. Yeah, I think we've all been spammed in one way or the other, whether the channel is being spammed on or whether we see the spam in a channel that we're commenting. We go through their comments and see that. So it's certainly something that they're still dealing with. Come on, YouTube. All right. I'm skipping through. Jonesing is here. Jonesing for stocks. Not to say Jonesing for socks. All right. And there's the link. Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate everyone stopping by today and hearing my TED Talk at the end there. Let me know some feedback if that was a waste of time. Whether it's going to the different shot is a waste of time, or whether it's whether maybe topically it was a pretty average topic. Give me the feedback later in the comments of the live stream. That's a fair place to put it because we're going to wrap things up. And for last thing, I would like to let you know what's coming up the rest of Saturday when we do our live streams. Here we go. And I'm going to talk over the music. Here we go. coming up right after this stream in about, I just saw a notification. It says it's in 30 minutes. So I don't know. It's at 9 a.m. or 9:15, sometime in the next half hour or so. Nick Nimmin is going live with his usual Q&A show. So go make sure you check out Nick Nimmin. Coming up later, 12:05, around 12 o'clock Eastern today. It's that Saturday of the month. Dee Nimmin and Daniel Batal are doing YouTube channel reviews of the game show, as they do every month over on the StreamYard channel. So make sure you check that out. So it's what we call Nimminati Saturday, because we've got Nick, we've got Dee, we've even got Daniel Batal. So make sure you check them all out. If pop in and out during the day. Prizes to be won over on the game show, mind you. There's always good, cool StreamYard merch up for grabs. So make sure you check that out. All right. Clicking the buttons here, clicking the buttons. Back to the close-up shot, because I know Chantel likes it so much. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. The Express show was a little longer than I anticipated. I've nearly hit the hour mark, and it was supposed to be 30 minutes, but that's cool. I did give myself a little leeway on those. So make sure I'll see you over on Nick's channel very soon, or I might catch you later today on Dee and Daniel's game show. This is Doug. I'll catch you later.
Stay tuned for Nimmin Live right after the stream. Nick will answer your YouTube questions live.